Hi friends, today I want to talk to you about a little chapter from my book, Ignite Your Inner Light. And this chapter talks about overcoming obstacles to happiness. And I think this is a very important chapter because so often we get so sidetracked in our lives. And there are things that happen that obviously we cannot control. But I wanted to read something to you from my book. And this is a quote. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And this is a quote by Epictetus. So while the pursuit of happiness is universal, the path to it always has obstacles. So recognizing that the obstacles sometimes, I know, trust me, I'm not immune to it. Things happen in my life as well. But I always try to remind myself that I'm asking myself, when something happens, what is it trying to teach me? And sometimes I have to have faith that this is God's way of pushing me towards something new and different in my life. So I invite you to look at the obstacles as something that you can use towards your improvement. So the key to happiness, not in avoiding obstacles, but in learning how to navigate through them. So I know somebody needs to hear today. I'm not sure what's going on in your life. I'm not sure what's happening, but it is important to remember it's not what happens, but how you react to it, that it is going to matter. So happiness is not the absence of problems. Nobody's immune. We are all human beings and things happen. Even if things don't happen to us, they happen to our loved ones. We all, have people in lives that have issues, and if you would love somebody, it hurts as if it was hurting yourself. So how you deal with it would be very important. So what really helped me, and that's why I want to share with you today, is that when I try to change how I look at the obstacles in my life, that's one that really helps me. So there's this quote I've heard a long time ago, and it talks about your attitude defines your altitude. So the attitude you have will define how high you will fly. So it is crucial that you always are mindful about what attitude you have towards what's happening in your life right now. And trust me, I'm not immune. When things happen, I get really crushed sometimes, and I let myself cry, let myself deal with it. But after this, I always try to pull myself up and deal with it and try to look at the positive aspects of what is happening. So another thing that in this chapter, the obstacles to happiness, there's another great quote here that I want to mention. Hans Selye said, "It's not the stress that kills us, it's our reaction to it." So again, remember, we cannot control what happens in our lives, but we can only control how we react to it. I think this is one of the main lessons. You will never be able to control everything in your life. It's just simply impossible. And when you try, and trust me, I tried, you are going to create a lot of stress. So there's internal and external obstacles to happiness that we have. That's again from my book. So one of the, the external obstacles are obvious, right? There's things we cannot control, things that happen, things with our jobs, somebody might get sick, financial stress, all those things we cannot control, right? But there's also internal obstacles to happiness that I want to mention to you today. Those are very important as well. So the internal obstacle to happiness would be a big one I want to mention here. I have a whole, little chapter on that, the pitfall of comparison. And there's this great quote that says, "Remember to be yourself because everybody else is already taken." I think it's very important that we remember that there's nobody else like us. So whenever we compare ourselves to others, we actually are diminishing our own value subconsciously. So there's this law of comparison, right? Because we always like to, measure other people's results and see how we stack up against others. But those stories about others should never determine how you feel about yourself. Because remember, there has never been anybody like you. There will never be anybody like you. So I hope that this helps somebody. So one of the things about the comparison is actually distorts reality, because very often how we perceive other people's lives and what we think is going on their lives is actually not the real truth, right? Because people can look at somebody's life and imagine that they have the perfect life, everything is going great for them. But in reality, this person might be going through a lot of problems that we don't really know anything about. So when you compare somebody to yourself, you don't even know what you're comparing, because you don't know the real reality of what this person went through, A, to achieve what they have right now, and B, you don't know what they're going through currently to maintain the visual success that they have, right? So never ever compare yourself to anyone, because this is the fastest way to get yourself in trouble and to get yourself. There's this great thing that I remember somebody said when I was a kid: never compare yourself to anyone, because A, you will either think that you are better and you end up being conceited, or B, you will think that those people are better than you, and then you'll end up feeling better about yourself. There's no good way in comparison with others. You will never win with that. You will always lose when you start to compare yourself. So always remember, you have your own path to live. You have your own life to live. Yes, it's great to strive to be better, but we all have different, right? The life I've had is probably very different from the life you have. We all have very, very different paths. So very important thing, another one for overcoming obstacles to happiness, is overcoming isolation and loneliness. So sometimes, and this is kind of an important point I want to make here, because sometimes being with people, sometimes you can be surrounded by crowds, or you can be with people and still feel isolated and alone, because you don't feel that you are understood by those people. So you have to find your own crowd, because there's nothing worse than being surrounded by a team of people or friends or, acquaintances that you feel like you don't belong. And trust me, I've been there, where I felt like the outsider. Like I felt like I'm supposed to belong here, but I really don't. Like my soul just didn't feel like I was in the right place at the right time. So overcoming isolation, yes, it is very important, but don't force it. Don't try to make yourself fit somewhere where you don't belong, because this is going to make you feel even worse. So find your own crowd. Like your own crowd will make you feel like they get you, and you will feel like you get them. So another thing that's important overcoming obstacles to happiness is building resilience. So how do you build your resilience? Like, your own resilience is really something within yourself, and we all get there in different ways. Sometimes going through things will make you more resilient. Sometimes observing others go through things will make you more resilient. For myself, what really helps me with building my resilience are my affirmations and my prayers. I pray literally every day, and I feel like my prayers really help me get grounded and feel that I'm connected to something bigger than myself. So find something that will help you build resilience. Those are just a few of the tips from my book. There's other things that are good. There's techniques for building resilience. Oh, there's actually a great quote here in the book. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. This is a quote of Albert Einstein. That's a great one that I always try to remind myself of. Everything, there's nothing truly good or truly bad. You can always, of course, except for death or sickness, right? Those are like truly bad. But other things in our lives, I think it depends on our perspective on it, right? When something happens, think about this as something that you can possibly turn into opportunity. Or maybe think about like sometimes challenges are just a redirection into something that God wants you to do next. So again, this book I'm so proud of this book. I really love it. I put so much work into it. But again, if you want to grab your copies on Amazon, I also link here below affirmations that I have recorded. There are affirmations that help me really build my own resilience. And there are different affirmations. So there's different, I will link one that I feel like is the most general. But in my affirmation playlist, if you go there, there are affirmations for health, for intuition, for wellness, for abundance. So there's different topics you can pick. I hope that helps you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.